Tommy Robinson has been released from Guantanamo. Jail. That's what I mean. Or Saudi prison. Or North Korea. Or Chinese prison. Or the Gulag. Definitely not a Western prison. Because after 2 months, you don't get PTSD. Let's take a look at Mr. Robinson.
Why would I have anything to say to you? All you do is lie.
Obviously, he's lost quite a bit of weight. He says he lost about 40 pounds. Now, this gentleman in the red, I do not know his affiliation or who he is, but he does a very good job of leading Tommy through this crowd. One thing, you get out of prison and you've been traumatized and you're weak. As you'll see him, he's walking very stiffly. Malnourishment, massive weight loss over a short period of time can give you vertigo. It looks like you're kind of drunk, but you're really not. You're just lightheaded. You're exerting yourself in a way you haven't done.
You've lost the faith.
So he stumbled back. That's okay. As far as, anything else. It's pretty much the prison's fault, which is why we sit there and think of something of a internment camp or a torture cell. Now, why is this red guy, sorry, I don't know your name, doing such a good job? One, Tommy feels for him as an ally. So he'll be less likely to do looking around over his shoulder looking for the attack. He's also guiding him so that because his brain is kind of mush at the moment, he can focus in on telling these people to. He was much more polite than that. I would have said. So not only is he helping him get to where he's at without actually verbalizing it, he's making him feel secure. And he's blocking these people from getting too close.
You've lost the faith of the British public.
What the media generally?
All the mainstream media do is like,
we've covered your campaign. We've covered your campaign. We're covering your release.
All you've done.
You can say.
See, as he keeps his hands on him, constantly keeping him on the go. He's stumbling. That's also a good sign. If he stumbles back, he can get caught quite easily. Good guy in the red. I don't know who he is. Hopefully he works really good with some kind of security agency because he does very good. He knows what to do.
Say what you like now.
All the mainstream media do is lie. The British public no longer believe you.
Okay. What would you like to say?
I've got a lot to say. Yep. Nothing to you.
And you hear him breathing quite hard. I've got a lot to say. Nothing to you. Struggling to get that out. And that's from the lack of exercise and the lack of nourishment.
To the British public.
Well, the British public watch this. The British public will watch this. I mean, do you have any regrets?
I just have a thank you to the British public for their support.
Where are we? Top of the one.
And of course, you're seeing him pull his britches up because they don't no longer fit.
The United Kingdom has become a mere shadow of the nation that gave us freedom of speech, freedom of the press, a host of other rights that we take for granted but probably should not take for granted. Nobody knows that better than Tommy Robinson. In May of this year, he was arrested for attempting to cover the trial of a sexual grooming gang in the UK for speaking out loud on the sidewalk. He was taken to prison with barely any time to muster a defense. He was tried and sentenced to 13 months in jail. Now, after more than 2 months behind bars in solitary confinement, during which time he was attacked by journalists in the UK, almost nobody defended him. But tonight he has been released on bail after winning an appeal. Tommy Robinson joins us now for his first and only interview. Tommy Robinson, thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us. I know that you've spent the last 2.5.
There's a delay. That's what we're seeing. And unfortunately, it seems like a very large delay. So he's been listening to Tucker Carlson speak, and then you sit there and you hear his brain tracking the words, and then he kind of gives a lag, and then he hears, oh, he's introducing me. There's a delay.
Months by yourself in a cell, so you're probably feeling a little bit bewildered to be out. Tell us what it was like for you behind bars.
For me, behind bars, the way I was treated, I was taken to a prison with quite a low Muslim population. What I'm known for is criticising Islam. So there's been...
What I don't like seeing now is the evidence that there's mental torture. And we're seeing a lot of stress in the face. We see it in the forehead. We see it around the eyes. We see it around the mouth. But it's just stress, because there's good news to this. We're not seeing it in a whole of the body, which means the stress that he went under, even though it's given him some PTSD at the moment, it is not a long-lasting situation. He will not jump at everything that happens to him for the rest of his life. Now, if he'd been in there longer, we may be singing a different tune. Let's go find some old Mr. Robinson.
Last night it was released that I'm going to be addressed.
So here we see Mr. Robinson in a 2-year-old interview. And we'll watch this for a little bit, but mark what I said from the last interview with Tucker to see this now.
In the Hindu leadership of the UK. I've been invited to an event to discuss multiculturalism. They've been targeted. They're getting attacked now.
Now you see, you don't see that permanent stress in the forehead. You don't see the permanent stress around the mouth. You don't see the permanent stress around the eyes. Whereas when you see him with Tucker, that is all you see. Watch it a little bit more and then you can get a...
I expect that when I turn up, if they're not forced or pressurised into cancelling, which is what's happened with university after university after university.
And you see the smile that comes in his face when he's talking about facts, because that doesn't give him stress giving out this information. And when you see the forehead crinkle up, you're seeing the emphasis of what he's saying, not the permanent stress of the situation.
The way I was treated, I was taken to a prison with quite a low Muslim population. What I'm known for is criticising Islam, so there's been many planned attempts to murder me and kill me in this country. I was taken to a prison with...
You're also seeing him move more than he used to. He moved a lot to begin with. He likes to talk with his hands. But now you see him all over the place. He's like an addict. And it's not that he's on drugs. It's just his body's adrenaline pumping. Stress. Where is it coming from? Do I have all my surroundings in check? Blah, 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 blah. He's stressed. Only time will tell if we get the old fighting Tommy back. Obviously, he's not going to be this way forever. He will heal himself. But this individual has been run through the ringer, has been pretty much made an example of. Unfortunately for him, because he is a proud man and he doesn't like to show people his weakness, for the rest of the world, very importantly his country, he has become the poster boy of why government should not be all-powerful. He is the symbol of their rally cry for freedom.
A low Muslim population of 7%, where things were relatively normal. I was separated from other prisoners, but the prison officers made sure they opened my doors multiple times during the day and they took me out to play pool and snooker with themselves. I was then taken from that prison and transferred to another prison. And I was transferred to the prison with the largest Muslim population in the UK for a CCAT prison. I was then put on solitary confinement, where I spent 2 months.
He's accessed inappropriate areas of his brain. He's going into memory. He's seeing how it feels as it comes out of his mouth. And he's got an emotional state with that as well. And of course, he's wiggling. And that goes back with reliving the entire situation as he speaks it out.
Not seeing or speaking to anybody, and they used the reason that I was in danger. Now, they would have had risk assessments before I went there. I was purposely taken to be put in danger so that then that reason can be used to then put me on solitary confinement. And if you think about what has happened in this case, it took a number of hours to take me before court, prosecute me, unlawfully imprison me, and then it took 2 months with the prisons moving me to prevent my legal access, shortening my legal visits, and it took months before I got the opportunity to go before a judge. Once the judge heard what had happened in the trial, we found so many illegal and wrongdoings within this kangaroo court that then it took another 2 weeks before I was freed. And to be honest, this whole encounter, if you talk about, I haven't eaten. I've lost nearly 40 pounds in prison. I had 1 tin of tuna and a piece of fruit a day. I was supposed to be in Her Majesty's prison service, not Guantanamo Bay. I couldn't open my windows because I was having excrement and spit put through them. I believe this whole process, and Tucker, this isn't the first...
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but who is putting excrement...
Look at that face. That is the reliving it. The eyes, the forehead, the mouth. God, it really plucks at your heartstrings.